Welcome to the Digital Download. I'm here with Katie Donovan. We're talking about the gold standard of search. Katie, one of my favorite stories that you tell a lot is around you were at a Microsoft conference and someone stood up. They were taking questions from the audience, which was great, right? They ask any questions.
Very rare.
Rare
Probably
as well.
for this reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what did the one guy stood up and say?
Was going through question and answers, and people were asking great questions, and he stood up and he just said, "I can't sleep at night." Why? And then sat down.
Everyone laughed.
Everyone cheered. It wasn't laughing. It was
we're all with him.
Yes, and
for sure.
Yes.
Why can't he sleep at night?
It's changing so fast. Just prior to that, Microsoft had mentioned that. So this was in May of 2026 for future reference. And Microsoft had mentioned that websites as we know them have been the backbone of the internet since the internet started. And as we know websites, they will cease to exist by the end of 2027. So everyone's blood rushed out of their face. It was kind of a while. We all know there's a lot of changes coming, but keeping up with them has been a challenge.
A challenge, but exciting too. Because I think something you... Go ahead.
I was posting about this the other day. I call it kind of like the digital gold rush. Like it is a chance to truly take some ground. People went up to California with a pick and a shovel, and they were able to build multi-generational wealth and, you know, all kinds of amazing things from being able to be first and willing to take the risks. That's the space we're in now, I think, digitally. Those that move and accommodate what's changing will be able to take some ground. Whether you are an independent mom and pop in a truck or a large PE group, that first mover advantage, I think you're going to say, is tremendous right now.
Absolutely. And when we talk, I love this analogy of like the gold rush and the gold standard of search.
Yes.
Because that's what we need to be after for here at camp is what does that look like? How do we move forward? So what's the first step there? How do we get to, excuse me, I'm asking the question weirdly. How do we take the first step? What's the first move?
I think structure. I think everyone automatically wants to go to content. But there's so many structural barriers, so many structure requirements with the deprecation of cookies that started a couple of years ago to apps blocking a lot of that. You have to be able to capture some of that data. So one of the things that we are aggressively pushing right now at camp, and I think a lot of other folks are as well, it's not coming from us, it's coming from our partners at Google and such, are things like Google Tag Gateway. Yeah. Right? What that does is it puts everything essentially around the cookies so that you can get around that and still capture that information. Because signaling, intent and signaling, if you have a bingo card that you want to fill up in digital marketing, those two should be on the bingo card as many times. You're going to hear the word intent until you're blue in the face, and you're going to hear signaling until you're blue in the face. All right, so those are the two things, and Google Tag Gateway and Google Tag Gateway assists with both of those.
Google Tag Gateway, tell me a little bit more for people that don't understand kind of what that means, because before we had Google Tag Manager, right, and how we track things like that. And then we have this introduction of cookies where we can accept, decline, or not even use them.
Cookie managers,
based on user, of course. And then that's also based on state too. So California, right, everyone follows California, where it's like probably the most strenuous, right, where cookies and privacy laws are pretty strict.
Shockingly, it's California, but it's also there's also some states you wouldn't suspect in that. I think North Carolina is one of them.
I did not expect North Carolina. I know Colorado is one
Colorado,
of them.
New York, which I think people would expect.
Yep.
But they're really saying they're trying to put the power back, and rightfully so, into the consumer's hands, right?
Of
like
course,
stop sharing my data, do this and that. The Google Tag Gateway moves where they're pulling some of that information from in a privacy safe mode that allows us to still us being a publisher or advertisers,
the marketers, the agency,
and the business to continually see a lot of those signals from the consumer without having to violate any privacy concerns.
Yes.
And helps mitigate some of the constraints that the cookie policy tools have put into place.
Yeah. And then, so that bridges us into the intent of the user, of the customer, because I love that piece. And for those that don't know, like what that means, we went from this like keyword, plumber near me, right? Keyword, I'm going to type this in, blah, 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 and then get a list of blue links to what's the intent behind that? What's going on? I'm longer tail keywords or longer tail queries, I should say, or prompts now, single surface, like that opens that whole door for us.
It's not even just the keywords. And this is where I think where I think it gets a little controversial, if you can get controversial in what we do.
Yeah.
But everyone talks about, the keyword. Oh, I'm looking at 100 or 1,000 prompts and seeing where you rank. It's not, it's the what you typed in isn't necessarily directly correlated anymore to what shows on the page.
Yes.
Because for Microsoft, they call it memory. I'm not really sure what Google calls it, but they're looking back at the search that's occurring prior to the actual keywords you put in. So a great example of that might be, I type in, why is my AC leaking? Why is it not getting cold in my house? All of these kind of AC related things. And then because you're a consumer, you see water, you think plumber. So they type in plumber. Plumber isn't necessarily what's going to fire.
Right.
It could be an AC ad that shows. Why? Because Google has understood that the last 4 searches you have done, or Microsoft or whomever, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, any of these things have realized that everything you've done is really more about AC. You're typing in plumber because you see water.
Right.
But they know it's an AC issue, so they're going to show you an HVAC contractor.
And that's the intent of the consumer that Google is trying to get around.
And that's why when you hear people say like keywords are dead or dying, that this is what they're talking about. It's intent. All of these systems are becoming so smarter, like almost scary smart, right? Yeah. And so they know what it is we need sometimes before we even know it. I typed in plumber, but it knows I don't need a plumber.
Yeah.
I need an HVAC technician.
Yes.
And I probably froze my friggin' unit, right? Or I have the wrong size filter.
Didn't change your filter.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%. That happened to me in one of my houses. Like I didn't know before.
One of my houses.
My first house.
There it is. Okay.
There it is. Yeah. Sorry. We just sold the house. So but and I think that's an interesting. So when we talk about intent and how the gold standard of search is changing from every partner agnostic, Google, Microsoft, ChatGPT, Meta, whatever.
Yep.
The intent is interesting because one thing I'm hearing a lot is consumers are very interested in pricing. How much does it cost? I hear that. I listen to calls, right? And I listen to quality of calls and how we're booking and all the things. And a lot of those calls, well, how much does it cost? How much is it going to be? And I've always been under the assumption that we don't get pricing over the phone, right? It's a trip charge, it's a diagnostic fee, whatever the case may be, because we don't know what we're walking into, right?
Yes.
I have no idea what my technician is going to walk into and have to fix, replace, maybe an upsell, maybe an install. It could be anything. And I want to do what's right by the consumer. We're seeing that change with the introduction of intent a little bit.
Well, and I'm going to back up before we do talk about pricing,
of course,
because I think this is where I was just at Google Marketing Live. We talked about it. I was at Microsoft's version, but Meta has some online stuff we were able to be at, and every one of them talked about, they called it all kind of AI-powered search, AI-powered solutions, really it's AI or die.
Right.
And so the only way you can keep up with these intents, and remember I just talked about the fact that even when I type in, it might not be what's showing as an ad because it's looking at the historical information or what it knows about me, right?
Context.
How come I didn't show up? Well, because you're a best pricing person and I'm not a best price location, right?
Yes.
Like I'm a high end location. So you've got to lean into these AI tools. You have to, right? You don't have a choice. So you've got to lean into AI tools that can keep up with AI. As the speed is increasing, the need to be able to meet that speed or match that speed with other AI solutions, which then gets us into pricing. What gets me into these AI tools, right? Is it things like AI Max? Is it PMax? Yes. The way you set all those up, besides Google Tag Gateway, is outcome-based marketing, which we'll talk about another day. That's really where everything's going to help understand intent. Mm-hmm. But also it's starting to feed the tool what it wants to know. So pricing, it's very controversial.
Yes.
Again, now we're getting spicy again.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll label this one the spicy content.
Yep.
I'm sure we won't get any confused listeners.
Spicy on the internet.
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm
yes.
with you.
Yeah. But you don't have to put exactly what your price is because we don't know. You don't know. I was at an event where this came up with Google, and there's a roofing agency behind me, and they lost it. And they're like, we can't price a roof until we get there. We're not. And I totally understand it.
Yeah.
And then at lunch, I was talking to the product head from Google, and she grabbed my arm and she said, I think it's cute that you think we aren't going to get your pricing. Just like that.
They're going to get it.
They've got it. They've been listening to LSA calls for 10 years. Not 10, 2018, but like 7, 8 years, right? They know what our pricing is. And just if you don't believe it, Google it. Google what's the pricing from such and such
and
provider.
Now with LLMs, like they can go scrape the sites, scrape all the
scrape
internet.
the sites, scrape the internet, scrape Reddit. They're asking on GBP reviews now, how much did you pay? Do you think it was a fair price?
Yep.
They're getting it from the phone calls they're recording. They're getting it from the quoted leads. They're going to get it. So our ability...
They're getting it from OCI.
They're getting it from OCI.
Put it in revenue, yeah.
They're getting it from everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So the ability here, I think, is twofold. we can meet the moment. Again, this is that digital gold rush. And we can we can control the narrative. I can't tell you it's going to be $24,000 to redo your roof. But I can tell you that most asphalt roofs in Louisiana range anywhere between, $8,000 and $80,000, and we tend to fall in this range.
Yes.
Those are the type of things. And if you Google it, do it yourself, and say, what's the price of an asphalt roof in Louisiana? It's going to give you a range. That's all they're trying to do.
Yep.
And then I think where we have a huge advantage is say, and we fall within this part of that range. So you're telling the customer a little bit more about you. You're not giving an exact quote. It's not going to hold you to it.
Nope.
So it's those kind of things that they're really looking for. And this is where if we find these little niches, we can take some ground.
I agree.
And frankly, some of the independents can move faster than some of the PEs.
I mean, that's an opportunity for David to take on a little bit of the Goliath there. Which,
oh, wow. Look at you with the
like
David and Goliath
Did you like
reference.
That?
Yes.
No, but I like that. And I like the first mover advantage. I know pricing has been a big thing. I think of where you came from, and I'm just a consumer in that industry, is the auto industry.
Yep.
It's like pricing has been displayed, transparent. Basically, though, this is the price of the car.
Yeah.
And I know there's nuances there that I'm not aware of, but I also think of Kelley Blue Book, where we do a range of what you can get for your car and things like that. So I know we're headed there.
We don't have a choice.
Let's go now.
So the question becomes, do you want the first mover advantage and control the narrative?
Yep.
Or are you going to end up not controlling the narrative, and they're going to be pulling it from Reddit, and Reddit's where all the Karens go to die.
Yes.
Right? Reddit and Yelp is where they're pulling a lot of, it's inaccurate. It's somebody who's mad at me and they say my grandma was home, like that, like let's control that narrative and let's get in front of it and take some ground. So I think that's a big piece.
I think it also aligns you with your customer, your
100%.
ideal customer,
100%.
right? Because if this is your range and you fall in the higher end of the range, then that's your customer.
I was just talking to Amanda Lips from Lips Electric, one of our clients, and we were having this conversation. She had come from a marketing background in a Fortune, I think maybe 100 company, at least Fortune 500 company. And I said, wow, you have a huge advantage because you understand this notion of the brand, right? And not just the logo and the taglines, but what does your brand mean to people?
What sets you apart?
What sets you apart?
Yeah.
And I think that to your point about the pricing, that's just one piece of it, but it also lets you say, as a family-owned and local company, as an insured background check company, like you can control all of that.
Yeah.
And as we're moving to this notion of this one surface, right? For anyone who doesn't know, ChatGPT, which is Microsoft's Copilot, Google's Gemini or AI mode, all these tools are going to try and get you to that one screen.
We talked about this in our previous episode, like episode 2, I believe.
Love it.
Yeah, we showed that example. So if you're interested, go watch that episode.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Getting pricing answered on that, getting booking widgets integrated on that.
100%.
Don't make the customer do more than the customer has to do, especially in our industry. How many of you guys go to a party and be like, oh yeah, I'm an electrician, and then the conversation just dies? Right. It's not like we're selling something incredibly like, oh, I do water heaters. Oh, what's the latest water heater look like?
No,
it's the same.
Maybe I'll ask about tankless.
Yeah.
Does that give me instant hot water?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not.
No.
So it's a very low interest, very high intent category. So this more, and I hate this term, but it's a good term, the more frictionless we can make it. And all the platforms realize that.
I was about to say that. Google is pushing less friction. It's keeping you on that surface.
Yes.
So I think that's a perfect segue into our next topic around appointment-based bidding and AI Max. That understanding that intent, the end product, not just the lead, not just the phone call, but the end product. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
As we talked about signals and intent coming in, the intent is the input. The output is the goal, right? The booking or whatever we want to change that goal to. Those are the two things that search really needs. They need to understand intent, and they want to align that intent to what your outcome wants to be. Intent, outcome, intent, outcome. So we want to feed it the outcomes that we want to see. That's how you'll truly win the race on the paid side, particularly.
Pausing there. Outcome before this, all of this equals an at-bat.
Yes.
I get to get up to the plate and maybe swing the bat.
Yep. Phone call, form, fill, chat.
Bingo. Right. Outcome now means
appointment, booked appointment, run job, revenue.
Right. Because we're taking into consideration
all of those things.
Your booking rate.
Yes.
Cancellation rate.
Yes.
Your run rate.
Yep.
Average ticket.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
And we're feeding that information back into Google. We want more of this.
A great example that will likely get edited out. You have kids, I have kids. When my kids were little and they'd go to the bathroom on the toilet, I'd give them a Tootsie Roll. Great job. You did a good thing.
You did exactly what I wanted
you to do. You did exactly what I wanted to do. Please enjoy this Tootsie Roll, right? Hindsight, Tootsie Roll and bathroom training, probably not the best connection. Probably could have gone with a cookie. Yeah, but whatever.
Either way, kids happy.
I'm sure I've scarred them. There's going to be some therapy in their future. But that's what we want to do with Google. We want to go, hey, I see my kid wiggling their leg. It's intent. I know they have to use the restroom. Again, terrible analogy. Please forgive it. And then when they do what I need them to do, I'm going to give them a Tootsie Roll. Why? Because that's going to motivate more of that same behavior. That's the intent, like understanding the signaling's coming in, and then the outcome-based, hey, when I do what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to get a cookie. So changing the outcomes in feeding that back into any of the platforms. Meta is honestly probably kicking ass on it right now.
Yeah.
Google, Microsoft, all of the tools are doing such a good job. Not ChatGPT yet. Coming soon. But all of these other tools have that outcome-based component. And if you're not, I actually don't think you're going to have an opportunity to do it much differently for much longer. If you aren't outcome-based and don't have these tools fed in and aligned and able to change. It's a different outcome for an HVAC company. I have a different outcome that I want in July than I want in September.
I love that you're headed down that road too, because one thing that I've always been, before all the introduction of this and how we want to try to get towards the outcome, the appointment, things like that, I was always very concerned about Google just running away with my horses.
Yes.
Like oh, just put it on your PMax campaign and put it on automated thing and just let it go.
Just put it on black. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, put it all on black and go.
Yeah.
I was like, no, don't do that. Yeah. Because it's only going to go after my install. I love install jobs, don't get me wrong. Right. But it's only going to go after the high ticket, lower conversion jobs because it's the highest revenue. And I don't want that.
Right.
I want to focus on repair so that I can build in.
Well, and that's part of understanding, and like tooting our own horn a little bit, we spend a lot of time as a company, and that's what we should be doing, understanding the market and market conditions.
Yep.
And right now, as we sit here, most consumers are not replacement focused. They're baling wire and duct tape. Like, can you fix it? Can you fix it?
I need this fixed.
And even if you can't fix it, I want to let them know I can fix it to get in the home, not to be deceitful but because that's where I need to meet the consumer where the consumer's at. So to your point, that's what we lean into really heavily. So we lean into a lot of that messaging and a lot of that content around that, but the outcome is still going to change, right? So yes. I want to, in September, I'm happy to, and I might get in trouble for this, but I want to keep my guys busy.
Yes.
Right? Like, just give me swings of the plate, keep my guys busy. I'm not expecting the same thing
give
I am.
Some tune-ups, some check-ins, some inspections,
As
whatever.
we sit here right now in Minnesota, we're about to have our first pretty serious kind of humid and heat hitting. We know they're not going to settle for the same thing I'm going to settle for in September.
Yep. So when we talk about Google running away with the horses and the budget and things like that with this outcome-based bidding that here at Camp we are pushing towards and we are actively working towards, how does that play into AI Max? Because one thing that I think is helpful for our audience to hear is that we need to be optimizing towards the outcome, the appointment. That opens the door to this new campaign type, AI Max.
Yep.
Maybe I shouldn't say new. It's not new, but
it's relatively
new.
Yeah. New. It's so funny that we don't call it new anymore because the space we're in. Like, everything's changing so quickly. Yeah. I think a lot of people reflect on PMax. And I call it like PMax again. Like, it was anybody who lived through the rollout of PMax at Google on our side of the house. It's like triggering.
Yeah.
Like, I want to start sucking my thumb right now, just talking about
right.
it. And so we have that same reflection. But again, it's really about what the input signals are that you're feeding against and then what the output. If you don't have that output nailed, you're going to have bad results. If I gave my kid a Tootsie Roll every time he peed on a tree, guess where he's going to be peeing into his adult? On that tree. And that's actually kind of a true story. I got in trouble with my kid's school because I live on some land and we'd just be like, pee outside. And
just go for it.
And he did that at lunch break or recess when he was in elementary school.
Yeah. My son's
didn't go over well.
Right now.
Yeah.
My son doesn't make it to the grass anymore. He pees just on the patio.
Right.
He opens the sliding glass door.
I mean, that's kind of like fun.
Off he goes.
Right.
And he's peeing on the rug that's right there. And my wife and I
about
love
the
it.
rug?
It's so good. It's really good. He's 4, so
don't give him any Tootsie Rolls.
We're gonna let it slide.
Yeah.
But I don't want Google to pee on the rug. I don't want Google to pee on the patio.
That was impressive segue back
to
the pee on the rug. Yes.
I want them to bid on what I'm after, and I believe that's what AI Max is helping us.
As long as it's controlled. If you let AI Max go, it's like having a bunch of toddlers at your house. Like it's going to get wild. They'll be on everything. This is not going to make it at all to be
just kill us at this point.
So you want, it's again, I mean, this is where marketing's moved to. It is no longer keyword grooming. It is no longer like all these little annoying things that you used to do in your mother's basement. It is now moving to these strategies. What kind of inputs based on the service I had? It's very different for electrical. Yeah. This person will know when I mention this because we talk about it almost every time we talk, but knob and tube wiring in a home. No one knows what it is. And even if you find out that you have knob and tube, do I need to replace it? I want to replace it. It's expensive to replace.
To rewire the whole house.
But there's nothing, as an electrician, we want more than this knob and tube, right? So even when we know it's really interesting, like what the goals are, how to get customer there, what's the customer journey. That's what marketing is moving into. What's your brand? Leaning into that. We have a very high-end brand we work with in one of our markets. And I said, please don't show me a single photo without someone wearing booties. The homes you service require or want very heavily. We might not even be cognizant of the fact that I want someone wearing booties in my house. I don't want your muddy boots in my house. Yeah. Put on your dang booties and therefore show it in the photos. I know it seems very silly, but together another word for your bingo card, I think, because you'll see it everywhere, is vibe. Google's leaned into, Microsoft's leaned into, Meta's leaned into the notion of the vibe.
Yes.
To me, because of my age, vibe is kind of a weird word, but they mean like what is the brand?
Yes.
What's
and does it align with what we know about the consumer?
Consumer, correct. So like your vibe and my vibe might be very different. And so if you're a high-end brand in the pictures you're showing booties, they're going to recognize that your brand is one that's a little more thoughtful, caretaking, probably in higher-end homes.
Yep.
Therefore, that vibe's going to align.
Probably more, I don't want to say expensive, but luxury, like the Lexus versus Toyota.
I would be willing to pay more for somebody to come into my home who's going to take care of my property 100%. A little bit better
every day.
But somebody else might not be. Somebody else might be like, listen, no, like I'll sweep up afterwards. I wear my boots in the house, so I don't care. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's that vibe that you want to lean into. Yeah. So those intents and the inputs and the outputs, again, are so important. The intent and the outcome are so important. But then marketing is really moving there. So as I think about some of this.
You made me think of my question, or not question, but just thought around how consumers are a heck of a lot more educated at this point. Because when you say knob and tube, like I can go ask ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot what that is and how it works. Maybe I was told by someone that that's what I have and I do need a whole house rewire. Maybe I was told, oh my gosh, you have 7 people living in your home. You should probably consider a tankless water heater. You should probably, whatever, right? And I go and search that. I am more educated now as a consumer.
Controversial hot take.
Tell me.
I don't think they're necessarily more educated. I think their expectations are a lot higher.
Tell me more.
I don't think that someone says, okay, my dad came in and looked at my brand new house and he said, oh my God, you have knob and tube, right?
Brand new house and knob and tube.
Right. Well, new house to me.
I get
right.
you.
And I have knob and tube. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm not going to be like admit to my dad, and I don't really want to take the time to educate myself. But when I go to the internet and I say, hey, I want somebody who specializes in knob and tube and can help me understand the brand, they want that answer. They expect more to come back. They don't just expect to say, oh, we'll come out to help with your knob and tube. They want more answers. Something that we've been talking a lot about here at camp is it's not search anymore, it's solutions.
Yes.
And so I think that they're searching, but what they're looking for is solution. They don't necessarily take the time to read through the 75 pages that ChatGPT has returned to them. So there's the whole education piece versus expectation. I just want a quick explanation. Cliff notes.
Yeah.
Cliff note it for me. My expectation is higher. I want more information and I want it accurate. So don't make me Google or search someone who fixes knob and tube and give me an answer for somebody who's in Anchorage, Alaska. Right? I expect, my expectations are higher, that if I'm searching it, it knows where I am and it's giving me people that can service my market.
Yeah. And it's coupling that with your vibe.
Yep. With your vibe.
Coupling that with your
100%
context from what your previous chats were or whatever. There's one last little bonus point that I want to make and we can end. One thing that we were just in a board meeting yesterday that I really found interesting was Microsoft's take on the entire consumer persona.
Oh yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
This was I don't think they intentionally. I mean, I don't think these guys do anything unintentionally, right? I mean, they're way smarter and better looking and classier and all the good things
Speak for yourself.
When our overlords take over. But Microsoft had a speaker at their event that I found to be one of the more fascinating speakers I've ever heard, and because he was a doctor of psychology, and he talked about with Microsoft particularly, they own a huge percentage of the business market, your professional market. So you're likely on Outlook, you're likely using
your
Word.
Company is
your
on
company
Outlook,
is
using Teams, yes, got it.
Right, all those things. So it understands who you are from a professional setting. Then I go home and I use Microsoft at my house, and now it starts to understand me from a personal.
And when you say Microsoft at your house, you're talking like their product, like LinkedIn.
Yep. Or ChatGPT, or not ChatGPT, well, the OpenAI, but if you're using Copilot, right? Or you're just doing a Bing search at home.
If you have an Xbox.
Right, Xbox, right? Any of those kind of things. So they're one of the only people, because work Katie is probably very different than professional Katie, which is probably very different than gaming Katie, right? Gaming Katie wants to murder you and your children.
Yep. I want to win the game.
Right. Professional Katie is like, how are the children? Are they doing good? Right. And then like personal Katie hanging out with her friends are like, yeah, your kid's a little brat. Right. I mean, there's all those different type of notions of the person. And so they're really getting kind of that 360-degree view of a person. It's a really interesting advantage I think they might have if they can lean into it properly. But again, that's the inputs and the outputs. That's the signaling and the intent, and that's understanding the vibe. Now it really knows that even though bougie Katie might be at work acting like I don't wake up for under $10,000 a day. Right. Personal Katie is like, who's the cheapest guy I can get to come to my house?
Yes.
So it's really
where's the cheapest plane ticket?
Right.
Whatever the case may be.
Yep.
Yeah. And so having that dichotomy of the persona
understands the persona a little deeper.
That data is interesting.
Yeah.
And how we can leverage it in the proper channels,
right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay. So to kind of sum this up, we talked about pricing on website. Well, we first talked about Google Tag Gateway, which is helping us get around the cookies and tracking. Probably,
everyone talks about how SEO is changing. GEO, AEO, all these things. SEO is changing. Technical and structure is still I'll be so bold as to say technical and structure is, you won't get found without it.
No.
So it is, I hesitate to say is the most important, but it really is. I mean, it doesn't matter how great your content is if it can't be found.
AI, these LLMs, when I say AI, is probably the modern day word of mouth.
Yes.
On a referral basis, if you will.
Correct.
And it's using that structure, that organization, technical as that referral.
Yep.
That's what it can read fast.
Exactly. And Google Tag Gateway is a great opportunity to help keep pushing the inputs and the outputs and signaling back to the providers.
Yeah. And I love how modest you were, but Camp's I think one of the only agencies that's doing it right now. So game on.
Game on.
And then we talked a little bit about pricing on websites. I know it's a hot button topic for our industry specifically, but giving that range, helping us understand the vibe, getting closer to your ideal customer, really important these days. And Google's going to get it.
Yep.
It doesn't matter.
Correct.
Google's going to get it, 100%. We need to understand the intent of our consumer and thus the outcome, which is why we're pushing towards the bidding and optimizing towards the outcome.
Yes. And I think if you're not having conversations about inputs and outputs, whether you want to call it intent or signaling or vibe, and the output is, what we're optimizing to, whatever it is, if we're not having those conversations, those are the conversations we need to be having as we talk about where digital marketing is going, where marketing is going, frankly.
100%.
Don't be on freaking, what's the one that my kids are on all the time? Pinterest, where you make the boards.
Oh, yeah.
The average age of somebody on it's a female, and it's like 17 to 21. Newsflash, those aren't homeowners.
Yeah, no.
So that's not a place I want to advertise if I'm in the home services space.
Yeah.
Right? Like those, it sounds silly, but that's a really basic example about input, output, signaling, vibe, all those things.
Yep. I completely agree with that. And then helping us get there towards that, optimizing towards the output and those signals is the AI Max campaigns that are coming out right now.
It's AI or die.
Yeah, we've got to
pony up, people.
We gotta be there.
AI
Katie,
or
this
die.
was awesome. I really appreciate the time.
You have to say that though.
I do. We're being recorded, so it has to be good. No, seriously, I think it's always good to sit down and talk about kind of where it is and just break it down. Like, what does it mean for our industry when these things are coming out? Because I think the common misconception, maybe not misconception, but fear, I'm gonna get left behind. It's
a real fear right now, the FOMO.
I'm going to be left out. I don't know what I should do. What should I do first? All these different things. And these are the items that I love bringing to these episodes to be like, okay, here's what we can do tomorrow to make a difference.
Yep.
So
perfect. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for making me do this.
I will always make you do this because you're so smart. Thank you for tuning in.
You're supposed to say good looking.
Good.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.